Hey folks, this is the second part of our interview with pastry chef, Mississippi native, and friend of the podcast, Leigh Lamson-Quay. If you have not yet listened to last week's episode, we encourage you to go back and listen to that episode first because the entirety of the apps portion of our interview with her can be found there. Also, to answer your questions, yes, this is the same Leigh from the Quarantine podcast series that we did on previous episodes on this very podcast, and we will be airing a follow-up episode with her and our other guests from that time in a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. This, however, is part 2 of her origin story. If you have stories of your own, we'd love to hear them here, so feel free to email us at servicefromhellpodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you have any questions, as you folks have been doing, please continue to do so. We'd love to talk to you. Thank you all so much for listening. Let's get on with it. Oh, hi. You're listening to Service from Hell, a podcast featuring people that are currently in customer service positions or the lucky few that got out and all of the good, bad, and infinitely irritating things that go along with that work. I'm actor and writer Kate Gaffney, and I'm uniquely qualified to discuss this as I currently work at a very busy and very popular comedy club in Los Angeles. And at least one of you listening right now has probably grabbed me and told me that you were ready to order when I was running around like a crazy person. So let's eat. We are back, and now it's time for the entrees. Okay, Leigh. So this is the speed round of questions just about customer service. Okay. So what was your first job ever? You answered this, but you can answer it again.
I worked at a candy store in Mississippi called Nandy's Candy, and it still is open today.
Is it really?
And my boss, Nancy King, I'm still very close with her. And I started when I was 14 because you could get a job at 14 then.
God damn.
Yep. And it was awesome. And it sort of is full circle why I ended up back in food. But at the time, didn't feel like it was a real job, quote unquote. And now I'm like, it's what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Oh, I love that. What were you doing for them? Just like serving up candy?
Oh, yeah. I was just, we made all of our own candy. So it wasn't just like a candy store where they sold Jelly Bellies. Like we made our own chocolates and it was American style. It wasn't like high end like I just left the SLS. But,
a lot of fudge.
But we made fudge, we made pralines, we made divinity, we made...
Fuck's divinity?
Divinity's like white globs of sugar and egg whites and it's...
Get in my mouth.
Oh God. I'm like salivating just thinking about the high I get from that sugar. Oh.
I gave up sugar for Lent. I'm not even Catholic, but I gave up sugar for Lent just trying. And I was like, I snuck cookies last night. I was like, I can't do this. This is too hard.
It's hard. Honestly,
hard.
I'm a pastry chef, but only thing I crave chocolate.
Same.
And I crave booze because I drink too much booze. If I stopped drinking, I think I sound like an alcoholic on this podcast, but I swear I am not. No, if I stop drinking, I'm not to the point where I get the shakes. But I definitely notice if I'm not drinking for like a week, because I take breaks, whatever. But like if I'm not drinking for like a couple weeks, I want sugar. So I want.
Oh, of course. Rose said the same thing. Yeah. It's like because booze is sugar.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, cool. How many customer service jobs have you had? And feel free to count. So we have the candy shop is
candy
one.
Store, it counts, right?
Absolutely.
Because you're doing like...
You're interacting with customers.
Okay, so candy store. And then my first job in Boston was at an ice cream shop called Lamson-Quay on Newbury Street.
Okay.
And I was scooping ice cream.
So wait, did you stay at the candy shop all throughout high school? And then when you went to college, you got your next job? Or were you only at the candy shop for a little while?
No, I was at the candy shop all through high school.
Okay. So that was your mate. You stick around at jobs. They're lucky to have you.
I'm loyal to a fault.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Okay, so it was candy shop. Then it was the Newbury Street ice cream shop.
You want to call my therapist right now?
No. Now we go. That's a different podcast, girl. Okay.
No. So then Lamson-Quay in Boston was my first job, and then that lasted for like a semester probably. After my mom sent me to school going, I don't want you to work. I want you to focus on your schoolwork and da. And then at Christmas, she's like, I don't know what you're doing. But I'm going to need you to get a job. And I was like, oh, you mean the 20 I'm slipping to the bouncer at the club is hurting you? Because I'm 18? Yes. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, so Lamson-Quay. And then I got a job. And then my roommate, my best friend Danny, who had gotten a cocktail job at the Comedy Connection, got me a job there. So then that was like...
That carried you through.
For the rest of my... Yeah. And then I always had 12 jobs though. So I had that job, but then... I decided I needed another job because I wasn't busy enough. So then I got a job at a brew house in Harvard Square called the Brew Moon.
Aw.
And that's why I learned about craft beer.
Okay.
And I hated that place though. I was like, ugh.
Craft beer is kind of boring. I had to do that for a while out here.
I mean, it was just food service. And I just realized over and over again that I do not like food service because you actually have to care. And I was like, I
Yes, there
don't
is pesto on that spread.
fucking care that you don't want salmon on your salmon salad. I think you should shove that up your ass.
Also-
Natalie Portman.
Oh, yeah, I want that to be true.
So true.
Oh,
Because she went to Harvard.
yeah, she was there where my sister was. Yeah, that's wait. Okay, well we dare. All right, so then you went from
Okay, wait. So I'm still counting. Okay,
yeah,
so okay.
we're at 3.
We're
no,
at
4.
3.
Wait. Candy
No,
shop,
4.
4. We're at 4.
And then oh my God, this is hard. This is like how many people have you slept with? Jesus Christ.
You're the first person I've interviewed to say that. It's so true.
It's true.
It's like as soon as you start working in customer service, you win it.
I'm like, fuck. Because now I have to count all the teeny little jobs too. That
Turns out you do. That's how this works. Punky had like a bunch. My last guest had 17.
Okay, so then I had I worked at a place called Explore Boston in
What is that?
it was like a little touristy shop in Faneuil Hall. So
I think I've seen it. I
it was
feel like
it was like you had to go in, you could buy tickets to the trolley tours, you
Yeah,
could buy
that
duck
feels
tour
right.
tickets, you
Yeah.
could buy t-shirts and stuff like that.
So were you like a selling people on the excursion kind of person?
No, I was just standing behind the register.
Oh, okay.
My friend Christy, who was a waitress at the Comedy Connection for a while, was like the manager of this place. So she's like, do you need, because I was getting ready to move to San Diego.
She's like, do you need extra money?
So she was like, do you want to, I had just graduated and we were there that whole summer. So it was my summer job.
Okay.
But that's customer service.
100%. You're interacting with assholes.
Yeah, that's right. So that's 5.
Okay.
And then
Was the La Jolla? Oh no,
And then-
you got the beachfront thing.
no, La Jolla was first for me, and then the
okay.
beachfront thing.
Okay, so that's
and
a lot higher.
then
So we're at 7.
I worked at a psychic bookshop down the street from the La Jolla Comedy Store.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna need more information.
So it's called the Psychic Eye, and it was 2 blocks down from La Jolla Comedy Store.
Never a more Southern California thing than that kind of bullshit.
Dude, I was like, I needed another job,
get
and
it.
this was like
I get it.
somehow in between. I don't remember. No, this may have been before. So maybe Lahaina started a year after the Comedy Store in La Jolla.
Okay.
Because the psychic bookstore was definitely like right when I moved there. And it was hilarious because I realized people think, I don't want to give too much information about myself, but I love when people think that I am sort of like flighty.
Oh, yeah.
And don't know what's happening.
I play that up too, because then you
get
can
away with
manipulate.
murder.
I'm actually kind of the same way.
I love it.
I lean into, especially men who like want
Oh,
to patronize me. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you're so right, and it's.
I mean, I do it with men in general too, because
Same.
I'm like, oh, you think you're the only one for me.
This is now
Anyway.
twice Lee has mentioned wanting to be single. Dear God, we love you, David. Okay, go ahead.
But it's just like, it's so easy. Anyway, but so the
too
psychic
easy.
bookstore had decided that because I'm a Libra, I was flighty and things would just happen to me. Like my car tire would get
cannot.
flat regularly. And so I would just call in all the time and be like, I can't because whatever the fuck happened.
Oh, so you were hired, but you would have a reason not to go in?
Yeah, because they were
will
insane.
I will die.
But I didn't want them to like light black skull candles for me. So I just played up the dumb side because I was like,
It's really kind of want you to have a voodoo doll with my face on
dude,
it.
if they think I'm retarded, they're never going to voodoo me. You know what I mean? So I just went with retarded. But
We work at a comedy club. She
I'm
uses
sorry,
the R
retarded,
word.
hard
Everybody,
R.
yep, hard R. Oh, hey, Rick Ingram, how you living? Oh boy,
and I'm also like 41, so I think
God,
that's
you act
still
like
a
you're
part of
100. You're not old. Anyway,
But I
keep
think
going.
vocabulary wise,
Yeah,
that's
it's
like
different.
a part of it.
Yeah.
I'm like over the cutoff for when that stopped being okay, and it's really hard for me to let go of that. Anyway,
Okay.
so we're on 8.
Yes.
And then
I just want to jump in. What did you have to do for the psychic shop when you actually did show up for work? Were you just cashing people out to get psychic
I was just
readings?
I was just people were buying books, they were buying crystals.
Oh,
they
it was
were
one of
buying,
those. Oh, there
they
was one of
did
those by my
readings, and
house.
so I scheduled readings.
Oh, okay.
But then they also it was a bookstore. They sold tarot cards. They sold
okay, okay,
crystals.
okay.
They sold all that shit.
Exactly
I mean,
what I would
honestly,
think.
like I do really like I'm very into
Same. So am I.
that
Some
kind
of
of
that.
stuff.
So am I.
But the people and some of the people were very legit. But
Yeah.
then some of the people were just gay and dramatic. And I was like, you needed to like exacerbate your gay drama by working at a psychic bookstore. Like, come on, dude.
I'm gonna
just do a show.
I'm gonna insert here. Leigh has no problem with the gay community. She has a lot of friends. She's made reference to several on this podcast. They are specific humans, not the community at large. I just want that on record.
I have a very big problem with saying the right thing. So I just want everybody to
She's
know
doing
that
her
I
best.
love everybody and I mean well.
She does mean well.
And I dig myself into a hole
Which she-
all the time. And I'm so
Kinda
glad.
was, and I'm trying to fix it.
I'm so glad I'm not a performer.
Okay.
And, okay.
Get back to it. We're at 8. We're at 8. Let's move through. Okay. So the psychic bookshop was last. Then did we count? Oh, we counted La Jolla and Lahaina. Those are on there. That would be the psychic shop is 8. So then did you move directly from that to LA Comedy Store?
LA Comedy Store and the Glendale Pool Hall.
Yeah. So we're at 10.
We're at 10. And then
I wouldn't count working in a kitchen as necessary. It is indirectly customer service, but for the purposes of this, like when you were being a pastry chef under the various people, the lovely people you've gotten to work for, I wouldn't.
Right.
I would indirectly call that customer service, but because you didn't have to interface with customers in person, I would not count those.
So part of the we'll get to that. Okay, so part of the SLS is interacting with customers, but it's a different it's a different job. But I'll explain that. So we got Glendale, and then we have the Boneyard Bistro, which was in Sherman Oaks.
Oh, did we talk about this?
Barbecue.
I don't think we did.
That was the one that I worked at when I was trying to leave the Comedy Store. So I was there for 4 months.
Okay, so we're at 11.
Yes.
Okay.
And I also just remembered that I went home for the summer in Mississippi and worked at a place called the Woodlands for the summer. And that was a steakhouse.
Oh God, you super have to care at a steakhouse.
I did actually care at that point. It was before I stopped caring completely.
Okay, we're at 12.
Yeah.
Okay. We're 12. So
I don't think I've worked at any other. Okay, so that was the end of. Then I got jobs in bakery called the Cookie Casa, but that doesn't count because I did deliveries and stuff for them, but it wasn't like a customer and like you weren't interacting with customers. It was all like.
Were you affected by the external people in like a positive and or negative way? Meaning they would tip you or they would complain about you or any of. Okay, so that
not
doesn't
really.
count then.
Yeah,
okay,
so we're at 12.
Okay.
But and then a chocolate shop, but also very wholesale, not retail.
Okay, so yeah,
and then Al-Aqua, but Al-Aqua was not. Again, I was back at the house, and then the SLS. So the SLS has a pastry kitchen, and then they have the patisserie at the bazaar.
Oh, so you did have to interface. We're at 13.
So we weren't selling anything.
No, but
we were. The customers would come up, and it would be like Disneyland for them because the way it's set up. I don't know if none of you have been to the SLS patisserie at the bazaar.
God, go. It's so awesome.
It's fun. It's like a big experience. It's like we had 100 or something, just under 100 kinds of plated desserts plus chocolates and different kinds of candies and essentially 100 options of things that you could buy for your dessert. So
everybody behind the counter can answer all your questions too. If you have any specific question, that part is really actually spectacular. If you ask them anything, they know.
And what's hard is like a lot of people who I started in production in the back of the house. So by the time I got up to patisserie, I had already made everything that we sold.
So you could answer literally everything. So it was really easy
because I had memorized all the recipes because everything is so repetitive. But if you start in patisserie, which some people do, it's really hard because you have to sort of create this knowledge of something that you've never actually like. I really function on having my hands get dirty and like learning by doing.
Sure.
And a lot of them just had to get thrown in and then learn things before they really knew anything about it. I would have hated to have done it that way. People did it and they were fine, but anyway, so that counts. I think so. That's 13.
Yep. I think it's lucky 13. I think that's where.
Yeah, I think we're on 13.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot, but that's not as many as I've heard. And like, damn, lucky 13.
Well, Abington Avenue counts as 14, I think, because I am.
Yes,
you
are
interacting with people, and I'm having to
meet the demands. And like, people do people ever come at you with specific? Like I asked you for gluten free, but people
come with me. I pride myself on being able to be very specific with people. Like I really, really want to give people a chance to ask me for something that they haven't had since they were a kid, and they want to try to recreate it, or like Jesus. I think I told you a story about Jesus. Well, do you want to wait for
talk about it on here? Well, is it nice?
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay.
So what was your favorite job of all of those jobs, the 14 that you just mentioned?
I think the Comedy Store. Okay.
La Jolla or LA or both?
LA, but both. But I think LA more now because it's as an adult, like being a fully formed human now, because I was so young when I was 21 when I started in La Jolla. I was so like, now I feel like I am who I am 150%.
Sure.
And I can fully enjoy or not like some things, but like I'm so opinionated and 100% confident in my opinions about how I feel about things. It's just more fun that way.
Yeah.
Because you can really fully enjoy something or fully not enjoy something, but it like you're confident about it and you can move on from it very quickly because it doesn't mean anything anymore because you're not like forming who you are.
Sure.
But because of all those things, coming back to like, I'm grateful for my other jobs and I loved my other jobs, especially at the SLS.
Oh yeah, this question isn't meant to be like everything else sucked. It's just
the
which is
Comedy
your...
Store is definitely and will definitely be the most long-standing thing in my life, in my adult life.
Okay.
It is the most constant thing in my adult life.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it has been. Okay. And which was your least favorite of all the 14?
Boneyard Bistro.
I'm surprised you can remember. That was the 4-month steakhouse.
Yeah, but it was just really, and I don't think it was all their fault. I think it was just really stressful times for me because of Mark Tarosi, the terrible manager at the Comedy Store. I'm going to just keep repeating his name so everybody remembers
First and last.
never hires him.
So cutting. Okay.
But it was just really hard because I was I had managed this crazy schedule with the Comedy Store, but trying to do that and reintroduce myself to food, like really high, it was really high end barbecue and a craft beer restaurant.
No, you have
They
to
had
know everything.
40 beers on tap.
Nope.
That changed
Constantly.
every day.
Nope.
I had to know everything about every beer, and
Nope.
I had to know that St. Louis ribs have more fat than pork. I mean, I know that I'm a chef, so ultimately, like
It's good
was
to know those
interested
things.
in
Yeah,
it.
Sure.
And it's not that I wasn't interested, but I was under so much stress and going to school and all this stuff, and I was
You were
like,
going to school at the same time you were working both of those jobs?
yeah,
Girl, no.
it was insane.
No, that's too much.
So it just became like it felt like a burden. That job
No,
felt like a
yeah,
burden.
that's-
It felt less of a burden to go to work and eat shit with the shithead manager than
Sure.
it did to have to go and be the best food server that I could be.
Well, and I think that's an important distinction that we should like make so that people listening know that God bless the people that work at like a Morton's, or I don't know what like the sort of middle of the country equivalent is of like an incredibly high end steakhouse. Where
Ruth's
you have,
Chris, maybe.
Ruth's Chris. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
good example. Yeah, where you have like different forks for every course, and you have to know that there's like sherbet in between, and the various
Like palate cleansers
Yeah, and the
and-
cocktails that go with various
And some
courses.
people are great at that job.
God
and
bless
I
them.
think that they are super talented and
Yes.
deserve to own houses from
Yes.
those jobs.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
they deserve it.
Yes.
Because it is a full-on skill
Yes.
that they do not get enough credit for.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like we could lump anyone with a vast amount of knowledge that we as a society have just decided is like a throwaway. My friend manages the Mortons in Beverly Hills, and the amount of he started at the back of the house, and the amount of information that man knows is astounding.
It's
and
insane.
I just don't have the patience to learn all of that and to care that much. I just don't.
To care that much. I mean, I definitely, it went out, and I do think, I do think the Comedy Store is at fault for me not caring.
They force you into that. If you care, you'll get buried.
Yeah.
I cared for way too long.
And the
then
thing
they
is, I
fucked me.
think I have a fine line of caring and not caring.
Sure.
Like, I definitely go from 0 to go fuck yourself really quickly.
That's because the Comedy Store makes you do that.
But it's such high volume.
Yes.
It's like you can't take the time
No.
to care enough.
because there isn't time.
There's no time. So it's not personal. Don't take it
No.
personal. But also if you're fucking with me, please take it personally because
I'm gonna come
I'm
for
coming
your ass.
at you. Do not fuck with me. But it's
I'll light you on fire.
But I'm also, a lot of times I have customers come up to me and go, "You're the first friendly face I've seen since I've gotten here. Thank you so much."
Wow.
And it's because I know that I work in customer service. I am
Right.
not unappreciative or ungrateful, and I 100% am a perfectionist, and I work really hard at anything
Same.
that I do.
Same. How you do one thing's how you do everything.
Exactly.
I feel that way.
And I get very frustrated with entitled people
Come on,
in the wait staff in LA a lot
girl.
because
Not
I'm
just
like,
at the store, but everywhere.
oh my
Yes.
God. I'm like, you don't deserve this job just because you're an out of work actor.
Yeah.
I am so
And you're
sorry.
pretty.
And you're pretty.
High five.
Go fuck yourself. How many
Yes.
headshots were you asked for when you first got
Girl,
LA?
every single job I applied for, minus one office job that I got because I knew somebody, headshots to everything.
Yeah.
And it didn't just have to be customer service. You had to bring a headshot. I just started to think that was normal.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, I didn't apply for other jobs besides management, and they didn't ask for headshots because I don't think they wanted you competing with their clients. But like the Comedy Store was the only place that I applied that didn't ask for I'm like, I am not an actor.
Punky talked about that too. Punky was like, listen, I went with like, she had on like a full on, not suit and tie, but like whatever the equivalent is, like skirt and a briefcase.
Do you want to
and
know what
whatever.
she wore to the Comedy Store?
Were you there
interview?
when she interviewed? I'll die.
Yes.
Were you really?
Yes.
She
She was
love
so
her.
cute.
I bet she was. She said she was like, bitch, it was my briefcase.
Oh, she had on gray slacks,
I'll die.
a button-up pink shirt.
She mentioned that. She said it was salmon.
It was pink, bitch. It was baby pink. or blush or whatever. It was not salmon.
Whatever it was.
She had on a belt and she had on a gray, and it was like a striped gray tie.
God bless her.
And she had her dreads pulled back in a little.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And like, were you there for her originally? This is so derailed.
I wasn't there for the interview. I was there for they asked her to stay or something.
Yeah, she had to work. That's what she said.
They asked her to stay or something like that.
I'll die. Okay. So your least favorite was the barbecue place. What's the weirdest thing you've been asked whilst on the clock of a customer service job? Not management, because management, I know the comics asked to suck the dick and all that kind of weirdness.
But
customers like coming to you, whether it be a specific change or like, do you have this? The answers we were getting very early on in the podcast were all sexual, and they were all at like nightclubs and whatever job you had. It was like, come meet me in the bathroom, that kind of thing. Feel free to answer that. But also, like, was there anything where you were like, no, I can't hold your pet lizard? Like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, or anything like that.
Oh shit. I mean, God, I'm sure I have really great answers for this question, and none of them.
Take your time. I can edit all this time
out. So
I'm
just like,
no, you're fine. Do you want to come back to that question?
Maybe, because all I can think about right now is like stupid drink orders that make no sense. But I'm sure I have.
Well, give me an example of one of those, and then we can come back to this question.
Well, I mean, it was just like, or not even the drink orders, but like Natalie Portman, I ordered a salmon salad with no salmon. I was like, what is the point of that?
I guess I don't understand that. Why not just order just a salad then?
I just was like, I looked at her like,
is she vegetarian, vegan?
She's vegan, but I just don't. I mean, I guess she wanted whatever else was on the salad, but but she didn't get any dressing on it either.
Girl, no, you got to enjoy your life.
I'm like, what is the fun in that? Who wants to fuck you? You're boring.
You're crazy. God bless her. Okay,
but I'm gonna
circle back to that one. All right, I'll go back to it. And what incident has there been? An incident, I guess I should say this way. Has there been an incident where a customer asked you speak to the manager because you either weren't giving them what they wanted or something happened? Because Punky said, like, you guys at the store, you would just handle business.
Oh, one of us was always, I mean, generally speaking, they would be like, can I speak to the manager? And I'd be like, yes, what can I do for you?
Yeah, and Punky said the same thing. She was like, you're talking to her.
What can I do for you? Really? I'm like, yep, sure are. I would never go get Dean for shit, because Dean would just give him passes to come back.
That's what... there's a manager there now that does that.
Yes,
it's very annoying.
We don't want these people back.
They don't tip and they're terrible. Stay away.
I have literally, like, on Kill Tony recently, I have gone, a couple people don't tip me, and I'm just like
regulars?
Right. I don't know anymore, because he used to have so many regulars, and now I feel like it's becoming so popular. But I had a couple dudes, like young guys, and I might talk to Tony in a little bit and be like, hey, can you talk to your audience? But like, I was like, please never come back.
You said that straight up.
Yeah.
Because
I was like, we don't need you. It's sold out every week. If you're not going to tip the staff, please never come back. And I'll make sure to tell Tony.
Did you? I love that you said that.
Yeah, fuck you.
And what was their response when you said that?
They just are stunned, like pissing themselves.
They're like,
they've never had a woman speak to them like that before.
Especially not in like a service industry where we desperately need tips.
Yeah, but it's just like, I'm not making any money off of you. And
you're losing money.
I'm losing
money.
This is the thing
I wish people
because
we have to tip out the bar on the sale, not the tip.
Yeah.
I wish people understood that.
I mean, in Boston, at least, we tipped out 20% of our tips.
But the problem is when you get somebody who's incredibly generous, who made up for all the other people that weren't, you're giving the bar a percentage of that incredible generosity, which is like, I guess it's not a problem. I was a bartender. I would have loved to receive that money too. But it's like, it's a catch-22 because at the store, like there was a night I was stiffed 17 times and it was like, that cost me money to work that show.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, okay.
No, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
So, but was there an incident apart from that where they were like, where you didn't get to act as a manager? Maybe like in the last like couple years where they've gotten bigger and done more, where they were
yeah. I mean, definitely I've had to go get a manager
for like someone that didn't want to pay a bill
or somebody
give you a bunk
that
card.
Was like arguing with me about like, because people get drunk and then they tell you that they didn't order what they ordered.
It gets so I just had to deal with this right before we closed.
No, it's just like, dude, I'm not bringing this in for my health. If it's in the computer, they made it, I brought it to you.
They literally had to make it and I had to bring it to you.
I'm not just ringing shit into your
and drinking it to myself.
No, it's ridiculous. I had somebody that was legitimately in my face screaming and yelling. I asked somebody, are there horror stories?
Yeah, get in there. Get in there now because it comes up later, but go ahead.
I mean, I can wait till that because I can also tell, this is a different story, but I'll wait for that. But no, this woman was like in my face arguing, hammered in my face arguing.
Of course, not so.
And insisted on like talking to a manager, but I'm like, and they stood up for me at that point and were just like.
What was it she was arguing with you about though?
That because they had a lot of drinks, and I probably should have cut them off before they had the amount of drinks that they had. But she's like, we only had, they had like 8 drinks each.
And how much? And
she was like, we only had 2 of these and 2 of these. And I was just like, oh my God. But they just get irate after a certain point.
And you're like, we got to just get you off the property.
Yeah. But there's also, I mean, what was the question that started?
If they were like, if there was an incident that you can remember as of late, not where you acted as the manager, but a manager had to come in.
No, I mean, that's generally speaking, like those, I've definitely had customers that have wanted to get in my face, and it's been like, I had to like, and I'm very nice, but I'm also really I'm like, I will fist fight you. So come at me.
Come at me, bro.
So I definitely have had to learn to be like, somebody get a manager, because I need to stop talking. Yeah. And we used to not be able to do that, but now we can. So now I've definitely learned to go ask for it.
Yeah.
But there's been moments on the old days, like Fat Tuesdays, where somebody like reached up and bitch slapped one of my friends because she was like, because they refused to pay for something, and then she's like, well, I'm taking it, and then they slapped her because she reached to grab it.
I will die.
Dude, it was crazy. And then another girl got hit with a shoe.
What is going on?
She got suspended.
No, she did. Why?
Yes, because the manager at the time didn't have a spine.
Okay. Well, that's someone else. All right. So what was the last straw that got you out of any of the customer service jobs that you didn't like? Obviously, like the comedy club in Boston, you were moving, so you were leaving there. But the job that you hated in Sherman Oaks, what got you out of that? Where you were like, I'm done. I'm not working here anymore.
I was selling a lot and constantly in communication with the kitchen about things. And then the owner of the restaurant told the manager that I needed to be better at communicating things with the kitchen. And I was just like, I am the only person that talks to the kitchen. And I was already stressed at that point. I was like, you know what?
Bye.
Take this job and shove it. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like...
Did you go out in a blaze of glory, or were you just
No, I was more... Because I'm actually like the manager of that place at the time is now like a rep for a coffee company. Oh. And at that point, I was kind of like already in the world of culinary, like in the back of the house, or was trying to be. And they were pretty well known as really good at what they were doing. Mm-hmm. And I kind of knew that I needed to maintain
some semblance
of like being a professional.
Sure.
So
save face a little bit.
I put in like my 2 weeks and quit and but it was definitely because of like stupid shit that I was like, who cares? You're being ridiculous. Like, and it was also sort of an uppity staff.
Nope. Can't work with those people.
Very highbrow, very like, you don't get this joke. I'm like, no, I don't hang out at UCB for a reason, and I don't want to hang out with UCB people at a barbecue restaurant.
Got it. Okay. Oh, I have so many things to say, but I can't. How many bodily fluids have been on your person whilst you were working on the clock? Like, have you been barfed on, bled on, sweat on?
Come on.
Oh, girl. You volunteered it. I didn't say that. I mean, I feel like Punky said she's literally never been puked.
I've never been puked on.
At the job that we worked a month in, I got puked on. How have you never been puked on?
I've never been puked. People have puked in my section, but I've never been puked on.
We've all had people puke in our sections, but like, never.
I mean, I don't know that I've had any super gross things happen to me. It's surprising. I think
this is that whole thing that this is the theme of the podcast. Like, nothing happens to Leigh. That's what I'm calling this episode. Nothing happens to Leigh.
Leigh lives in a bubble. Leigh breaks the bubble. I let disgusting people into my bubble sometimes, but no.
So no bodily fluids you can think of. Nobody bled?
I don't think I've ever been bled on.
God damn.
I think that
even when you bartended, you didn't cut your hand. You didn't.
Oh, I mean, I've cut myself.
Okay, so like your own blood you've had, but nobody else.
I've cut myself for sure. Yeah, no, but like otherwise, just like the stuff that you deal with. I mean, gross stuff behind a bar, and definitely people's saliva and shit like that. But I don't think not by choice.
Okay. Okay. Was there
just the norm?
Okay. I'm just going to brush past it because I saw your face. Okay. Do you tip?
Oh, yes.
How much?
I tip 20%.
That's your average?
Yes.
Do you ever tip more than that?
I tip more than that sometimes.
Okay. What?
Especially, I mean, if people give me a discount on something, I way over tip.
Same.
Because I do the same for people and expect the same from people. I think though I remember in Boston, I used to like everybody over tips in Boston, it was a hard.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah. People like, it's like working with Armenians. There's like,
That is listen, if we're going to make a generalization about a group, you brought it up. When I love working shows that are all Armenian people. They ask for a lot. They like a lot of tea, but they tip their asses out.
They fight over who's going to tip
the bill. Oh, it's the best.
It's amazing. That's why I'm like, I'll work an Armenian benefit any day of the week.
You let me know. I will come in at 8 a.m. on a Sunday.
I will make scotch for these motherfuckers.
I will.
I don't know how to do it, but I will learn.
I will stomp grapes. Those people, they tip 50%. I mean, they tip.
Oh, it's insane.
Insanely.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So it makes it worth your while. I'm like, they know that they're asking a lot.
Correct.
It's almost like they're acknowledging that they're high maintenance. But that's fine.
Listen, if you're high maintenance, but you tip like that, I will run for you.
That's what my job is.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, so no,
So what would cause you to tip more than 20?
If the service is amazing, I'll always tip a little bit. I always average higher. Just knowing how to be around whenever I need you without being around too much.
Okay, so the balance.
The balance is because I do think it's a dance.
Yes.
And you need to know how to do it. And if you don't, it's obvious.
Yep.
But really good servers make your experience, like they're really knowledgeable about
the
menu. They can guide you through anything. They're fun. They have a personality.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like drudgery to them.
It's not drudgery, but they're also not trying to insert themselves too much into your experience.
They're not doing bits.
Yeah, they know exactly. Like they're not trying to sit with you at the table, but because I have had people where I'm like, okay, that was funny, but go away.
Go away.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it really is like the people that know the dance. Sure. And when you see that, it's so rare, I think these days, unfortunately, that when you see that, you respect it and you honor it.
Sure.
And so I overtip for that. But I also think there's something to be said about if somebody gives you a discount and then you pay more than you would have paid for the full bill in the tipping, that's stupid. Like, and I used to get annoyed with people because I'm like, now I'm spending more money than I would have spent had I not gotten the discount.
Correct.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
stop.
So that was frustrating. So, you live and learn with the people you go out with, but generally speaking, yeah, I have rarely tipped less than 20%. There's been a couple times in LA though, where
Can you talk about those?
I went to eat at the King's Head pub in Santa Monica.
I hate that place. Why does everyone love it? I know it's very British, but like, bleh.
I mean, it's okay,
yeah,
but
it's
it was
fine.
like, whatever.
Yeah,
but she literally forgot to put our order in.
Nope.
And we were there for like an hour and people around us were getting their food and she never apologized.
Oh, she should have comped the whole bill.
She should have done something. We didn't get any discounts. We didn't get anything. And she just finally brought the food out and didn't say anything about it.
Oh, I would have been so mad.
And I was literally like, because this was when I had only been in LA for like 2 years, and I was like, it took me 6 months to find a job, and you work here, and somebody's tipping you for this service.
You're making a grip of money because you're in Santa Monica, so the bill average is higher.
Dude, no, it was crazy. So I think I gave her probably 15%.
Yeah, so you didn't. Do you ever stiff anybody?
Never stiffed anybody.
You never have in your whole life?
I mean, probably in my life, but I don't have a specific memory of it.
Okay, so now you no longer stiff people.
I don't think I ever really stiffed people because my best friend in college grew up working in her parents' diner or her grandparents' diner. And so she was a waitress all through high school. And I started waiting tables when she got me the job at the Comedy Connection. Mm-hmm. But I feel like ever since I've been going to bars and restaurants as a person who earns money and can spend that money, I've been with people who've been working in restaurants.
So they just
So I've never thought it was okay to not tip people.
That's a good thing.
And my parents always tipped. I think you lead by example. Like we celebrated by going out to dinner. That's what I loved to do with my dad when I was a kid. My dad, my mom, and I would literally any little excuse, we'd go out to his favorite restaurant, which is like the only fine dining restaurant in Jackson at the time. But they tipped. It was just what you did.
Sure.
Yeah,
my parents were generous too.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's you do what you see. Okay. And I already asked you. Well, actually I didn't ask you this. Have you ever been stiffed?
Oh God. Yeah.
Okay.
Nightly.
Thank you. What do you think it is that causes people to stiff you at the comedy club?
They think that, it's like they think that they're in a restaurant and they're going to get the kind of service they would get if you were waiting on a 5-table section. And you're waiting on at least 40 people, if not 70 people.
Sometimes 100.
So it's like, and I try in the very beginning to be really clear that I was like, first round takes a long time. After that, I promise I'll be around all night. Da 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 da. Just be patient with me. Da, da. If I'm super busy, if not, I don't have to make that spiel. But if I know it's going to be crazy, but you know, people are going to be how they're going to be, and I think a lot of people make choices before they even leave their house that they're going to be unhappy with something.
Correct.
So you know what, you can't make those people any different. And you know, you can stereotype different kinds of races all you want, but honestly, like nowadays, I feel like those stereotypes are less true than they ever have been.
I agree.
And the people that I expect the least from usually give me
you the
more.
most. I agree. And you can't say like any blanket statements about a certain race of people.
No,
It's just
other than
doesn't
the Armenians tip 800%. But other than that,
which is a good thing. Yeah.
But yeah, no, not anymore. Like, I mean, I definitely still go into some things with like old school mentality of like, oh, here we go. But honestly, I've been more often than not surprised in a good way.
That's good
by them
know.
Lately.
Okay.
But nightly I get stiffed.
Yeah, same. Okay. Have you ever been fired from a customer service job?
Have I ever been fired from? No.
That's awesome. You were the first person I've interviewed that said no.
Really?
Yeah. I've done a lot of interviews to the first one.
I don't think I've been fired from one job in my entire life, and that was the first assistant management job that I had here, and it was for a music manager, and it was because I made a really terrible choice to pretend that it was like an investor for his company, and he was asking me about music, and we were at a concert, and I was trying to like fake it till you make it, and I just put my foot in my mouth, and I didn't know something that I was pretending that I knew, and he called me on it, and it wasn't dramatic, but then the next I didn't think anything of it other than I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
But then the next day my boss went from "you're the best I've ever had" to "I'm gonna have to let you go, it's not working out."
What did you lie about? Do you remember?
Not knowing who Jeff Beck was.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
He's a famous guitarist.
And you like lied and said you knew who he was?
I thought Beck and Jeff Beck were the same person, which is a grave error in rock and roll.
Oh, but in life, that's not stupid. That makes sense.
But I was like 24.
Yeah, that leap makes sense.
And I was working for a music manager.
Yeah, that needed you to know that. Or to just be like, I don't know who that is.
I mean, literally everybody that I know that knows him, that knows Jeff Beck goes, ooh.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Like,
So that was
I know. It was
right,
terrible. I get it. I got fired. Leave me alone. You know.
Okay. So now for the like horror story question. So however this fits in, the question is actually who's the worst customer you've ever had to deal with. But if the horror story doesn't fall under that, then answer that after the worst customer.
What was the horror story I was going to tell you?
I don't remember.
God damn it.
You said you had a horror story?
Oh. So I was standing in the OR, the original room.
At the comedy store.
I was at the comedy store and I was waiting on a table. So there's 3 sections in the original room: C on the left, B in the middle, and A on the right. And I was in the A section. But at this point, we had a couple tables in the middle. So I was on the side of the middle section. And my back was to the rest of A. And I was waiting on somebody. And then somebody behind me stood up and clapped. The show was going on.
Leigh. Like I cannot.
Stood up and clapped.
No.
And said, "Hey."
No.
And clapped at me.
No.
And I looked at my table and I was like, "Excuse me for 1 second." And I turned around and I said, "I'm sorry. Have you ever been in public before?"
You did not say that?
Mm-hmm.
What did they do?
He sat down and then I turned around and finished taking this order. And then I went over there and I was like, "Did you need something? Because there's a show going on." And I would have been to you. Well, you haven't been here in like an hour, which is a customer's favorite thing
They
to
love
say.
to say an hour.
I'm like, dude, the show hasn't even been going for an hour.
You haven't literally been in the seat for an hour.
It's so,
and
I'm
you
like,
have a drink in front of you.
It's like they all got really high before they came in, and time
means nothing.
Ships. Time just passes by. It's ridiculous.
And everything's an hour.
So So he sat down, and then at the end of the night, instead of like, they crossed out the tip and wrote an arrow, and then it said, "Here's a tip. Stop being such a bitch." On my credit card slip.
Leigh.
But it was, I literally wore it like a badge of honor, though.
Yeah.
It was hilarious because I was like, for the rest of the night, I was like, "What can I get you? Go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
What can I get you? Go fuck yourself.
And you're like, the glory of this is worth, I know I'm not going to get tips by you.
Getting money. Yeah.
See, I would have stopped going to the table, but I'm petty as fuck. So I just, that's not the solution either.
He was clapping in the middle of the show.
Girl, like you're not a dog.
Dude.
Oh, I can't. Also, like, it's not like we're on our cell phones by the fucking computer, just like with our thumb up our asses.
We're with another customer.
And running around. My favorite is when they physically touch us whilst we're having a conversation with a different table.
Oh, you have a full tray of drinks and they're like, excuse me. And I'm like, oh, let me just hold this 50-pound tray of drinks so that I can hear what you need to tell me.
Oh, and you want to order food? You need chicken tenders right now?
Right now.
I have had people be like, I have diabetes. I need to eat food, blah, blah. And it's like, that's poor planning. Yeah. That don't got shit to do with me. Yeah. You should decide you need a Jolly Rancher.
To travel with crackers.
Yeah. You need Pars crackers, you dumb bitch.
I have goldfish in my car at all times in case of emergency situation.
In case of a diabetic coma.
And I am not diabetic. I just get hangry.
Okay. Is that the example of the worst customer that you can think of off the top of your head?
Or? I mean, for me, like I've definitely had some ghetto people that, you know, like I was saying before that like somebody slapped a girl with a shoe, but it wasn't to me, but I was there during that point and I was the head waitress. So I had to be like, this is not like, I went to the promoter. I was like, your customers are slapping my girls with shoes. Like this is, we need to talk about this.
What did he say?
He was mad because he was like trying to turn it into a race issue. And I'm like, it doesn't honestly matter. Like they didn't yell a slur at anybody. So if they're trying to take a drink that hasn't been paid for off of a table, he was like, well, they should know better. And I was like, no, that's not okay.
Also, have they ever been in, like, I don't go to restaurants and be like, that glass of wine looks delicious, I'm gonna scoop it. That's not a thing.
No, I used to have people take shit off those shows. I would like put a tray down on a table and turn around and half the shit was gone. And I was like,
girl,
what the fuck?
Oh, I would have lost it.
It was a free for all. It was insane.
Well, you earned your stripes. Yeah. Well, on that note, we're going to transition on to the good stuff. We hope you saved room for dessert. What was the nicest thing a customer has ever done for you that you can think of?
Well, I mean, the most recent is I was just back. I had been gone for 3 weeks in Mississippi, and I had just been back for like a night or two, and there was a guy there who came in late, tall, heavy set, obviously a drinker, but like
you mentioned him.
He was just, you know, I was keeping an eye on him because I was like, it could have gone either way. He could have been drinking too much and gotten belligerent, but he was drinking shots of Jaeger and
he was doing Jaeger bombs, didn't you say?
Jaeger bombs and Grey Goose and Sevens. I was like, ugh. I mean, immediate judgment ensued after that order.
Sure, of course.
But he was older, so I was like, I mean, this must be his thing, right? And he had several, and then I was like, okay, do I need to cut him off? But he was maintaining, and it was like longer periods of time in between. And then he's like, can I buy you a shot? And I was like,
you sure can.
Okay. So then we did a shot, and then he was like, can I move up? And I was like, sure, because it was towards the end of the night. And I was like, yeah, move up where you're comfortable.
Also, he asked, I don't mean to interrupt your story, but the number of people that are just entitled and do whatever they want, like when someone is that kind and just says, may I do this thing? But recognizing they're in a theater, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
You just earned everything.
You want front row?
Like carte blanche, whatever the fuck you want. Yeah.
Yep.
And then he bought an audience. He bought the dude that was sitting next to him in the back that also moved up. He bought him a shot.
God
and then
bless him.
And then I gratted his check. And then
meaning you added a gratuity.
I added a
gratuity. Okay.
And because it was well over 100 at that point. And then he asked Dana, who I was in the room with, the other server, because I had dropped the check and then left the room. And he said, hey, can you ask her? I want to give her more than this. Can I do that?
Bless him.
And so he gave me $100 on top of what I gratted him. And then when I went outside to find him, to thank him, he was standing outside waiting for an Uber. And he was like, I own a bar in Long Island and I just really appreciate good service. And you were just really sweet. And I want to make sure you're taken care of. And then he was like, can I take a picture with you?
Did you say yes?
Yeah, it was really funny. Yeah, it was really sweet.
I don't think he came in the next night.
I don't think he did either because I was looking for him because he said he was coming back a couple nights in a row and then I never saw him again. But he was really sweet. So that made my night, especially because I had been gone for a couple weeks and was broke as fuck.
You needed that. Yeah. Well, that's lovely. Okay. And what's the nicest thing that a customer has done for you while you were... Did I just ask that? Was that the question I just asked?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I'm terrible at this job. Fire me. What's the best lesson you personally have learned from working in customer service?
Patience on the other end of it, like being in a restaurant or being in a bar and recognizing that you are not the center of the universe and that people like shit could be on fire and you can't tell. And somebody in front of you, if you can't tell from them, is probably doing a really good job of like maintaining. But there's a difference between something legitimately happening and then terrible service. And so I think that it's helped me tell the difference between those two and give people a lot of chances to, to do a good job.
Sure.
But also just general respect for people. I just think it teaches you how to talk to people. It teaches you just work ethic. The service industry gives you a tremendous work ethic because you're hustling all the time.
All the time. And your rent depends on it.
Yeah. So it's like you being good at your job, which is why it gets so frustrating in LA, because I think a lot of people think they're entitled to it. But being good at it is a whole different thing. Like, it requires a skill that a lot of people don't have. Being good at customer service is something. It's a skill.
Well, and you swallow a lot. I mean, if you on the street said to me some of the things that have been said to me whilst I was working in customer service, like, you'd be in a coma. But the fact that we're in this position, we can't really say and do all the, and like the comedy store gives us a lot of,
we get a lot of I call it like the ugly, or the coyote ugly of.
Oh, it's so true. Of
like,
comedy.
Of comedy. Because, and it's not like, not just saying that you're going to get shit on and you're going to have to like it, but I just think that it does give you a little leeway to be like, I don't have time for your attitude right now.
Yeah. Literally time. It's not even like a pride issue of, I mean, I've had people call me outside of my name and stuff, which makes me crazy, but it's that issue of, I literally don't have time for you to shit on me.
Yeah.
Because I have 80 other people that need drinks yesterday.
Yeah.
So like, I can't, shit on someone else, like shit on your wife or your husband or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
you're obviously a miserable person.
Yeah. And they ain't got shit to do with me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's one piece of advice that you would give to customers who interact with customer service workers?
Oh, the same, in that they just have patience and like recognize that there's probably a lot going on behind the scenes that you don't see. So I would always give people the benefit of the doubt in the beginning. And obviously if towards the end they're being rude to you, or, you're not getting anything you asked for or whatever. But I do think, like, if somebody's trying, you can tell. If they're good at their job, you can tell. So just go in with the idea that you're going to be well taken care of. And if you're not, then you have the right to be upset about it. But just give people the benefit of the doubt up front, because it's a really stressful job, no matter what you're doing. But it's a really stressful job in any way, but ours specifically with the high volume cocktail, and like, it takes such a toll on your body because you're carrying such heavy trays, and it's walking. It's like you're running a marathon for 6 hours with 40-pound trays in your hand, So like, just pay attention to your surroundings, I think, and don't think you're the center of the universe, because
you're not.
They're dealing with a million things at one time.
And you're not the only difficult personality. And like, you holding me up at this table, asking me 100 questions that have nothing to do with anything, is keeping me from the line of 30 people behind you who still haven't even been acknowledged by me.
Yeah. And also tipping, because like, we make minimum wage. Plus,
which is not a living wage anyway. And you guys shouldn't be responsible for us to be able to pay our rent. We all can agree on that. Minimum wage is not a living wage, full stop.
Right.
But we work in an industry where, socially speaking, we have all agreed this is a tipping industry.
You're paying for a service.
Correct.
You're paying for a service, and that is, it's socially acceptable.
It's where we're at. This country is we've just accepted that.
And it's also a choice. It's like, I was having a conversation with Jen the other day because of this current situation. And I think that there's sort of this idea from some people, unfortunately, who are really like, who have jobs that required like, law degrees or medical degrees or something. Oh, but that somehow makes you better and less, or like, we deserve sort of
this punishment
of not knowing where our next paycheck is coming from because we made this choice. But it's like, but we're really well educated and also chose to live a life that is a little more free form, and it's scary, but it's because we're providing you with other things like art,
sure,
and music.
Yeah, most of us have, and pastries
and all of these things. Like, so you have to, like, it is hard to quantify it because it's not tangible stuff necessarily, but it's stuff that enriches your life. So you're going to be my accountant, but I'm going to make you laugh, or I'm going to make you enjoy food, or
paint you a painting.
So you have to like respect that that's what these jobs are there to help other people, or just. And
for the people that have chosen customer service that don't have another like artistic hustle or whatever, that just like doing it, because there's people that really like doing it.
And it's also a skill. Like I was saying before, not everybody can do it well. If you're good at your job, if you can sell me a steak like it's poetry,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you all my money.
All my money. And then you got me to pair it with some weird ass wine that I wasn't even going to drink tonight. And all of a sudden
$20 a glass or $30 a glass.
But you said it goes really well with this particular. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. Well, is there anything else that you want to say about customer service in general? Anything else, any other thoughts you have, or anything that you're like, I wish people knew this thing or knew this story, or?
No, I just wish that I think that it does. I really wish that everybody had the chance to work in the business so that they'd get it. Like, I think that there's a sense of hierarchy towards people who work in customer service. And I think that it's so unnecessary because, we're like in the trenches for you. So you're welcome.
Yeah. You're goddamn welcome.
Fucking motherfuckers.
What a good way to end. Okay, Leigh, well, how can people get in touch with you? Are you currently taking orders for Abington Avenue? Do you offer like dietary needs based food? Are you like just basically like how can people get fed by you?
So I'm on Instagram at Abington Ave Pastry.
Can you spell that?
ABINGTONAVE pastry, PASTRY. And there's a link to my website at abingtonavepastry.com. But you could go to that directly and order online. You can go to Instagram and DM me or order through my website, whatever you want to do. But yeah, I do literally all kinds of special requests, anything that you love that you can't find anywhere, things from your childhood, anything that I advertise online. But I'm building a menu based on requests that people make of the things that they love and they have these like nostalgic connections to. And
what's an example of one?
So like Jesus Trejo, one of our mutual favorite comics.
Jesus.
I had been talking about this when I first started my business, and he came up to me like a couple months later. He's like, hey, I remember you were saying this is what you do. But I was just saying, like, I really like to help people connect to the memories and stuff. And he said, my mom used to make this bread pudding called capiritata, and she's sick and she can't do it anymore. And do you think you'd be able to figure out how to make it and then make it for me for Christmas so I can surprise my family? So this was last Christmas. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let me make a small one, bring it to you, let you taste it. If it's, then we can adjust it however. And then I'll charge you for it if you like it. So I made him a little baby one, and he was like, that's exactly what it tastes like.
I love that.
So, and I learned like it's a Mexican dessert.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard of it before.
It's a bread pudding, but it's like the poor man's version because there weren't eggs and milk and that kind of stuff. So it was like simple syrup, like a sugar syrup layered in conchas, which is like a Latino pastry. But it was just really fun to learn how to do. And it was so sentimental to him, and it meant so much that he did. Like both of us were crying at one point. Like it was ridiculous. It just meant so much that he trusted me with it.
Sure.
But that's the kind of stuff that I love to do. Plus just any sort of nostalgic Americana that I just have used my like French pastry skills to sort of elevate and take to another level. But
like a Twinkie or something, if we were like,
I make homemade Pop-Tarts.
They are so good.
Homemade Cracker Jacks, gluten-free.
Sure it's so good. I've had it. Okay, amazing. Well, we are going to drop checks now. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to help us out here at Service from Hell, leave a 5-star review on iTunes and tell your friends to listen. It will help us reach more people that need to be schooled on the art of being kind, and will be catharsis for those of us still working in the industry. And if you have stories of your own, we'd love to hear them. Email us here at servicefromhellpodcast@gmail.com, and someone from our team will let you know if we're going to read your story live on air. Remember, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out. So don't be garbage and be good to people. Holla. It's easier that way. Thank you so much for being on, Leigh. We really appreciate you, and thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's going to be it, guys. Good night. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.